Finland's parliament has opened debate on whether to seek NATO membership. The Nordic nation, which remained neutral throughout the Cold War, Russia's warned of a nuclear buildup in the Baltic should Finland and neighboring Sweden, which is also considering joining the alliance, follow through with that. For more on this, let's go to Florence, Italy. Alexander Stubb is former Prime Minister of Finland, professor and director at the European University Institute. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
My pleasure.
Did you think we'd come to a point where Finland would be trying to join NATO?
Yeah, I sort of had given up hope. I mean, I've always been an advocate of Finnish NATO membership. I think we should have joined in 1995 at the same time when we joined the EU. But you know what? There was never a majority in favor. It was pretty much 50% against, 20 in favor. And then on the 24th of February, it got reversed completely. And now we have 68% in favor, 12 against. And when our parliament, our prime minister and our president take a favorable stance to NATO membership, I think we're going to be north of 80% in favor of NATO membership. Did I think it was going to happen during my lifetime? The answer is probably no.
And we're seeing that even parties from the left that are in the current governing coalition have said they won't leave if that coalition, if it passes in Parliament.
Yeah, I think, Finns are quite consensual when we take foreign and security political decisions. We kind of have to do that. When you're a small country and you're living next to a revisionist, aggressive, totalitarian and imperialist state, you have to sort of balance between idealism and realism. And realism is now that Putin has attacked Ukraine and he could do the same thing somewhere else. So we never want to be left alone again. That's why we have a strong standing army, and that's why we're going to be a value added to NATO.
When you heard in the recent weeks the growing threats from Vladimir Putin himself, talking even about missile launches from Kaliningrad, do you take those as empty threats, or is this a real concern?
I mean, threats should never be empty, but we kind of do exclude the idea of the possibility of conventional warfare. But we will see in this what I call a gray period. So from the moment when Finland applies, say in the months of May, to the moment that we become members, we're going to see hybrid threats, we're going to see cyber threats, and we're going to see information threats. This is part of the information war. For instance, Medvedev saying that we're going to move nuclear warheads to the Baltic Sea region. Well, they're already there. Or Putin saying that there will be military technical ramifications. Yes, we know that. So we're not excessively worried about it. It's very strong rhetoric, of course, but it's very difficult for Russia, I think, to move on two fronts at the moment. You can't multitask with the level of the capacity of the Russian army at the moment.
Alexander Stubb, but we're hearing every day the pleas from Ukraine's president for more weaponry, and the weaponry is growing heavier on the Ukrainian side. Your thoughts, are all of NATO doing all it can right now?
Yeah, pretty much. And actually the Finnish government decided to provide more weaponry yesterday. This was the second round of it. You have to understand that, there are only a few things that we can do. One is to weaponize sanctions and the economy. The rollout of that has been remarkable, and I think we're going to go full Monty, which basically means that Russia will be isolated economically, financially, politically, traffic, energy, sport, culture, you name it. The second thing we can do is to provide Ukraine with arms. And I hope and I see a lot of Western nations doing that. The United States, the UK, France, Finland, Sweden, many others, because I'll be very frank with you. I was mediating peace in the war in Georgia in 2008. There was a ceasefire in 5 days. Now we are in today 55 of this war, and I just don't see it ending. So the only thing that we can do is to give weapons.
Yeah, you were saying to us earlier, you don't expect there to be a conventional war between Finland and its neighbor Russia. But what should be the response if, for instance, from Kaliningrad, the Russians decide to have a missile test in the Baltic Sea?
Well, to be honest, I don't even want to speculate with that hypothetical. You have to understand that Finland has had a border with Russia for all of our history. So that means that we balance geography and history, and we react to history. This is the reason why we have a reserve of 900,000 men, a capacity to mobilize 280,000 men and women. That's why we have over 60 F-18s. We just bought 64 F-35s. That's why we have air-to-land defense mechanisms. So the Finnish army is very strong. And when you combine that with a strong partnership with NATO and actually with Sweden, which is very good both in the air and in the sea, I don't think we should be intimidated, because that's the last thing you want to do. You don't show that you're scared or weak in front of Russia or Putin. You show that you're strong. Power is the only thing that he understands.
One final question for you. You see the war in Ukraine differently when you're in Finland or where you're sitting right now in Italy?
You sure do. We do have 1,340 kilometer of border with Russia. That's why it's always been a balance of idealism, try to cooperate with Russia, but realism, be prepared for a bad day. And you do look at it a little bit differently, I think, from here in Florence, that's for sure.
Alexander Stubb, former Prime Minister of Finland, thank you for being with us here on France 24.